Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are doing a recap on a video I did, I think about a year ago. And the video was basically how to activate your turbo blades for your Cho-Z Beyblade if it was stuck. I've had a few comments since then. One saying how come they can't get their launcher on the Beyblade if the Beyblade's blades are out. And then just a few others. Like what would you recommend for cleaning the bay? And so we're going to address this video again. Hopefully we can put the miscommunication to bed, and this will be the last time we have to do this video. So thank you guys for bringing those comments to my attention, and let's get right into it. So first of all, you need your Cho-Z Beyblades. You don't need anything else other than the layers. So we're going to do all three. We have Cho-Z Valkyrie, Cho-Z Spryzen, and Cho-Z Achilles. You only need the layers. You don't need the parts. You only need the parts just to make sure you did the maintenance right. So we'll put the discs and the spin track, the drivers right here. And moving on to the next part. Get that a little bit better sorted out there for you guys. Just have some eye candy to look at while we take these Beyblades apart here in a second. Next thing, you need one of these. I highly recommend these tech screwdriver kits. Highly recommend them. And the reason why is because they're a good price. Usually you can find them for anywhere from $6 to $12. However, I've seen them go anywhere upwards to $30. So your best places to get these are like Walmart, Ace Hardware, Harbor Freight, and then online I would say eBay, Amazon, Wish, and AliExpress would be your best spots for online for all you people who are not in the States. So with that being said, the reason why I do dig these is because for your Hasbro and Takara Tomy layers, you have the tri-blade or tri-wing screwdriver, which shows right here we have a 2 and a 3, a number 2 and a number 3. So you get this, and then you find your 2 and 3, which are right here. And that's really all you need for right now. So let's take apart Cho-Z Valkyrie first. Today we'll be using this time we'll be using the Micro Stadium. The only reason why I'm thinking about using the Micro Stadium is one, it's small, so it'll be easy to keep track of parts. And I have these little small spots where I can put springs and stuff in. So there are springs inside of these. First things first, you want to flip the layer over. You can put your screws in that pocket. And we just unscrew it. And we'll be doing this bay by bay, just to give you guys an example of what the interior of the bays look like. Cho-Z Valkyrie is pretty easy. It's clear, so you kind of get an idea. You have 3 pushers, there's 3 springs, and then you have your burst stopping blades, your Cho-Zetsu blades. Now, after you take the bottom part of the layer apart, you can see clearly how everything is set up, orientated. So with the springs, you actually have a channel for the springs to sit in, and the blades will just protrude down like so. And as you can see, we only have 1 triangle burst stopper on this blade, rather than, you know, Valkyrie has 2, Achilles has 2, and then Spryzen has 4. But only 2 for each spin mode. So yeah, now if your main reasons why these tend to jam up is, 1, your springs might be gunked up. So you take out your springs, clean them with some dry lube, like Teflon style lubrication. And I recommend the Teflon lube, not the WD-40, because the Teflon lube sprays dry. I still would give it about 5 to 10 minutes to fully cure, whereas WD-40 is a wet lubrication. And with the wet lubrication, you can see how my stadium's got all sorts of dust and furs and stuff like that in there. You would essentially pick all that up with the WD-40, and then that's getting stuck into your springs, getting stuck into these channels for the pushers, and everything's just gonna get gunked up and stuck. Now, how would you remove that? You would just take the whole entire layer apart. For the Hasbro stuff, I would grab a pair of tweezers. With a pair of tweezers, you can pick up the QR code, put it on a clean piece of plastic, and then that way when you're done, don't press it on the plastic, just lightly stick it there. That way when you're done, you can put the QR code back. And what I would do is I would fill up a container, like a Tupperware container or something small, with hot water, like really, really hot water, and Dawn dish soap. And I would let that sit for maybe 20 minutes. And after you let it sit for 20 minutes, go through with a medium bristled toothbrush and just kind of lightly scrub out all the channels right here of all the gunked up dust and debris, and that'll fix your turbo blades being gunked up. So now that we've taken a look at Cho-Z Valkyrie and I've shown you how to take it apart, I'm not going to take the blade, so the blades aren't held on by a tab or a screw. They just slide on to that little channel right there, and you just slide them back on. The rest is pretty easy. So now we'll put the layer completely back together and move on to our next bay. So recap, like I said, I would recommend using a dry Teflon lubrication, not a wet like WD-40. You can pick those up at any hardware store or auto parts store. They tend to keep those in stock. I definitely would stay away from your local like grocery store. Try and pick those up, because a lot of the time those Teflon lubrications still contain some trace of oil in it. Whereas if you go to your hardware store or auto parts store, they usually tend to stay away from lightly oiled Teflon lubes, just because they know what people are using them for. So yeah, that's how you put that back together. And now we'll take our Cho-Z Valkyrie and let it rip. And as you can see, the turbo blades deployed. And for the subscriber who was talking about why can't they get the so as you saw when I put the launcher on, that turbo blade went back in the layer. This burst stopper right here is the reason why you are not able to set your launcher onto the bay, because that burst stopper is going to stop you every single time. And before you even try and put it on the launcher, I recommend just pushing your turbo blades back in by hand and then putting it on the launcher, and then there you go. So yeah, that's Cho-Z Valkyrie. Moving on next up is our boy Cho-Z Achilles. We'll do Spryzen last. Spryzen's a little bit more complicated. So same premise, you take your layer, flip it upside down, get the screws out. And have your layer flipped upside down, lightly take off that bottom plate, and there you go. There is Cho-Z Achilles. Cho-Z Achilles is pretty interesting with its turbo blade design. So you see you only have two pushers, right? And that's a very deep channel for that spring. So when the blades deploy, your pusher essentially pushes out like so, right? And then you get your one burst stopper, and then you get your second burst stopper. Now the shield stoppers are not spring loaded. They are actually just free play, so they can push in and out as they please. So it's actually a pretty cool design concept where they did the free spinning, the free projecting blades for the shield. And same premise, if they get stuck or they're not pushing back in, because only a slight amount of force, you should be able to push them back in. If they're not doing that, take everything apart, hot water, Dawn dish soap, make sure you spin that the Dawn dish soap into the whatever container you're using, but so then that way that Dawn dish soap's already activated and it starts cleaning the layer. Yeah. And Dawn, the only reason why I recommend Dawn dish soap over anything else is because Dawn is a good multi-purpose dish soap, and it's good for cleaning gunk and debris. All right, so now we've talked about Cho-Z Achilles, right? And it's got its 2 burst stoppers, your 2 plungers, your 2 springs, and then you have your free play shield stoppers. So yeah, that's basically what Cho-Z Achilles looks like. Very easy still to maintenance and clean and all that stuff. Like I said earlier, dry Teflon lubricating spray for them springs. You don't want to use wet. All right, let's put Cho-Z Achilles back together, and we'll move on to Cho-Z Spryzen. Well, Turbo Spryzen. After I put the layer back together, and I'll show you guys a trick with Cho-Z Achilles that some of you guys might not know. And it's actually pretty cool because I didn't know it either. And then our last screw. Bada boom, bada bing, our screw is in play. Make sure the rest of the layer is tight. All right, and now you gotta go in at an angle to get these blades out. And there you go, you should be able to just do that. So there's 2 burst stoppers, like I said, on Cho-Z Achilles. You have 2 blue triangles right there. Now the cool thing with Cho-Z Achilles is it deals with those burst stoppers, is you take those burst stoppers out, right? There's 1. And there's our second. So we have both those burst stoppers deployed. We could take our launcher and just put it in like so. And with the launcher, now if you're using Cho-Z Achilles with the launcher, you can actually take those turbo blades and push them in with the launcher. And then now, 3, 2, 1. Our turbo blades deployed. And there we go. Moving on to our last Beyblade. Cho-Z Spryzen. Cho-Z Spryzen is a little bit of a different beast. It's got 4 burst stoppers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 burst stoppers. And you can't use all 4 burst stoppers at once. You can only use 2. 2 for left spin, 2 for right spin. But it's still a pretty cool design nonetheless. So now we go in, we take out our screws. And Cho-Z Spryzen, how you want to take it apart, you actually want to have it normally facing with the face up. And that time it didn't work. Oh yeah, that's right, because I had to replace my spring. So with Cho-Z Spryzen, as you can see, you have 4 springs. I had to replace my spring with a different spring lately due to the fact that I had to clean it out and the spring went missing. So I took apart one of my broken DB launchers and used the DB launcher spring. It's the same resistance, it's just longer. It really doesn't hold any extra purpose on making the bay better. So there's really no competitive gain to doing that. It's just there to make the function work again. So with Cho-Z Spryzen, like I was stating, you have 4 springs, right? 4 plungers, your spin change, and you have 4 burst stoppers. Now these burst stoppers ride in a little channel like so, So it does matter the orientation you put them back in. So with Cho-Z Spryzen, it's going to be the same as Achilles. You'll want to take everything apart, and you can actually take the centerpiece out just by pushing it up and put everything in Dawn dish soap. That way, when it comes time to actually clean your bay, you can do so. All right, so now we put everything back in, right? The way we took it apart. And then the spring will push in this way. And this is how I would recommend putting in your springs, is put that plunger in first and then push your spring in to the channel to lock it in. And it should, I just shot the spring. Sorry guys, I gotta track down a spring real quick. This is the same thing that happened last time. Hopefully I can find the spring. Give me 1 second. I'm going to take this light with me real quick, so I can track down the spring. I don't know where it went. But we will find it. All right. I do apologize about that momentarily delay there. So let's put Cho-Z Spryzen back together. Okay, so with Cho-Z Spryzen, you'll actually want to do this a different way. There is an easier way to do this. So you put your blades on the top part of the layer. It's kind of opposite of how you took it apart. And like I said, there's these little locks, these little channel locks on the blades. So you just want to make sure you're putting them upside down. So then that way you have your turbo blades functioning right. If you see the hole on the hollowed out hole on the turbo blades, you're doing it right. Now with the turbo blades right there, we put our plunger in. Our plunger's right there. And so like I was trying to show you before, everything went haywire. You just take your spring, push it in, right? We have our spring pushed in. And then we take our layer very carefully. And there we go. Now, you'll hear clicks. And honestly, Turbo Spryzen is the easiest one to activate for them turbo blades. You'll hear those clicks, and you know you did it right. So now what we do, we get our screws. Now with turbo sprising, you kind of got to put your thumb on one of the screws just to make it easier to place your thumb vertically on top of the screw and make sure that screw's straight, sort of like a guide. So then that way, you know, you're putting your screws on straight. And I always recommend using a screwdriver with a magnet. And that's another reason why they like these little tech kits with the bits, is because they come with a magnetized handle. Now that magnet's not really strong, but at the same time, you're still being able to put pressure, enough pressure on that screw to make it stay and not slide out of the screwdriver. It's just Cho-Z Spryzen has some weird channels for them screws. All right, and that's basically how to, and easily, all you do to check the mode change is you do that, and like so. Now it will lock into place, I just haven't done that yet. We will do that right now. You grab one of your rip cords, and as long as you hear a click, both sides click, so we have our bay locked together. Now, what kind of Beyblade video would it be if we didn't do some battles? So now let's do some battles. We'll only do right spin for Cho-Z Spryzen real quick, just because we are at 21 minutes. So let me change up that camera angle real quick, and we will get some battles going. All right. I hope you guys like the new mat setup. It's seeming like it's doing some justice. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. All right, so now we got our two Beyblades. We'll start out with Cho-Z Achilles and Cho-Z Spryzen. 3, 2, 1. You know, I'm kind of surprised that we didn't get a Cho-Z Spryzen Pro Series. All right, we did stamina. Now we will do defense. We'll launch Achilles first. Well, both bays made it in. Now we'll do the attack driver, and we'll put Achilles at its tallest. 3, 2, 1. And that was actually a burst. Very nice. Spryzen takes out Cho-Z Achilles. All right, so now starting off with attack. And Cho-Z Valkyrie gets a ring out finish. Push those turbo blades back in. Going to defense now. Self-destruct on the launcher. Gotta love that manufacturing flaw. Like I said, I'm just really hoping that the Beyblade X does not do that, where it self-destructs on the launcher. We'll redo that. Yeah, I'm just really kind of hoping for X to not have the self-destruct launch. Valkyrie gets a ring out finish. And now stamina. 3, 2, 1. Let's try that again. These Beyblades really love going into the pocket. And that's another thing too, is like, I'm really over the pockets. I really think that they need to just start making stadiums without pockets. That's honestly my biggest complaint, is stadiums with pockets need to disappear, because then you run into issues where you can't really get good battles due to the fact that they pocket themselves out. And especially with a driver like Valtryek, where it goes from a angled rubber tip to a flat rubber tip, and that flat rubber tip just catches so much speed. It's ridiculous. All right, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, Valtryek fell off the table. The mat definitely seems to be helping though. Valtryek just missing, you guys. Okay, Valtryek with a ring out finish. Let's go medium height. Now I know you guys are gonna be like, oh, but you could use one of the quad strike stadiums. The problem with the quad strike stadiums though, is if it gets too much speed and grips around that bottom lip, it's gonna spin itself out. So that's another thing you face with them quad strike stadiums. It's kind of a double-edged sword with a lot of these stadiums. Okay, Valtryek got a burst finish. Very nice. Now we will go lowest. Put our stadium back here. 3, 2, 1. See, and that's another thing too, is like with the rubber flat, if this lip is big enough, it shouldn't, you know, it shouldn't do that. It should catch the lip at an angle and ride the lip. So that's another thing with these stadium designs for the flaws, is the inner lip is not thick enough to make them do that. All right, try this again. All right, so Achilles takes the win there. Let's see if we can get a three-way battle going. We'll go medium height on Achilles. Push all these burst stoppers in. All right, medium height on Achilles. One, all right, let it rip. Let it rip. And Cho-Z Spryzen with a win. Very nice. All right, you guys, let's get these Beyblades put back together real quick and end off this video. We'll send off this video. There's 1, 2, and I know you guys are gonna be like, how come you didn't use left spin? We were already at 20, I think 21 minutes after putting the bays back together and disassembling them. So I wanted to get some quick battles done for you guys. We used these 3 bays: Cho-Z, Valkyrie, Achilles, and Spryzen. So I figured, why not do a battle with them? So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thank you for the likes, comments, and subscribes. We are at 785 subscribers, so thank you very much. And with that, it is the 2nd of September. Tomorrow, I should have a new video for you guys. It'll be a combination video recommended by one of my subscribers, and it should be a lot of fun to do. So yeah, keep giving me those recommendations for them combos, and I'll keep pushing out those videos for you guys so you can see if your combo is good or not. And we're going to continue to use those same bays for the combo video battles. And then we'll use the combo bays from the previous video as well. So with that being said, thank you guys so very much. And as always, 3, 2, 1, let it rip. Have a great day, everyone.